Singapore has experienced urban growth at an exponential rate since we gained independence. As a small nation, there are many issues that plague and limit our urban potential.
So what are these problems?
Firstly, as a small city-state, we face a problem of land scarcity in squeezing the different functions like residential, transportation, and commercial for a population of 5.6 million in a country of only 719 km² land size.
So is this why buildings tend to be closer in proximity to one another and houses are significantly smaller?
That's right. Because of this, it is hard for us to achieve a livable environment due to land scarcity. There is also a reduction in available recreational spaces and places for interaction and growth.
Yes, don't forget traffic congestions as well. The growth in roads is much slower than the private transport growth.
Secondly, inefficient use of land is also a problem where there is an underutilization of infrastructures in Singapore. Repetitive functional facilities that serve the same function in the vicinity can cause inefficiency in land use. This is especially significant in the context of Singapore, where we have a lack of hinterland for urban growth. Also, a building that may once be useful and efficient may no longer hold its value. Today, these buildings may have reached the end of the building's life cycle or reached functional or economic obsolescence. When these buildings remain, space is wasted.
Oh yes, that is true.
Lastly, instead of efficient infrastructures, roads are taking up a large percentage of precious land in Singapore, and hence, land could be better optimized and zoned for other uses when we cut the usage of roads. However, there are also initiatives in Singapore to maximize land use like mixed-use development and underground space, which to some extent makes this problem less significant.
What about land degradation? Does this affect Singapore as well? Land degradation is caused by industrial pollutants releasing toxic waste or intensive farming. Once land degrades, there will be less available land for development.
Fortunately, due to strict regulation, land degradation is not a major issue plaguing our country.
Oh, is that why there are no brownfields in Singapore?
Yes, our country ensures sustainable use of land. Land isn't used for agriculture anyway, making it insignificant in our context.
So how do we improve livability due to land scarcity then?
To manage this problem, we mustn't think like a city planner, engineer or architect. We think like a citizen. With that, we came up with the idea of a grid system made up of building clusters, a new district similar to the one in Barcelona. This solution is to be implemented during the pre-development phase. The clusters will have a courtyard in the middle, and each courtyard can serve different functions for the community. The clusters will be made up of public housing with commercial function and public spaces at the ground floor. It will be based on a gateless community concept. The different function that each individual courtyard places will prevent repetition of facilities that will ensure efficient use of space. And since different courtyards have different facilities, people are not restricted to use only the facilities in their own cluster.
Won't this bring about problems of no natural light?
Yes, unfortunately, we can't build too high since there will be shadows casted on the courtyards. We can instead build this near airports where there are already height restrictions anyway.
How would your cluster grid system improve the transportation system then?
In the main street where the mall and MRT station is, there will be a walking path in the middle flanked by two one-way straight lanes. This walking path in the middle can have cafes and shops. For smaller streets, there are effectively two lanes wide. One lane is a dual-use lane built on a low curb. On weekdays where more motorists use the roads, they are used as roads meant for cars. On weekdays, however, they are meant for pedestrians. As you can tell, this mini Barcelona sounds very car-like. Driving is highly discouraged with drivers going to be put off by the street design. We can also promote urban biking, a bike share system that's not the same as what we have now. These bikes can only be used within mini Barcelona and not throughout the whole Singapore. There will also be a proper parking system at allocated spaces. No more hazards on pathways.
So what are the impacts of this solution?
Impacts are classified into endogenous and exogenous effects. Let me break it down for you. Firstly, the idea of cluster homes does help to maximize land use and incorporate complementary land use most suitable to the residential area, which helps to mitigate the problem of limited land in Singapore. There will also be more public and open spaces. For the new design of roads and transport system, the town will become more pedestrian-centric. This reduces congestion within mini Barcelona. There will also be a lower risk of accidents since walking paths are narrower. Unfortunately, with no building height restrictions, there may be a lack of natural light in the courtyards as mentioned earlier. For exogenous effects, firstly, social cohesion will improve with community activities, interaction and sharing of public area encouraged. However, with many of these blocks, the landscape may become too monotonous and